Discovering the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early in your late 30s or 40s, it usually doesn't start with excitement. Honestly, it starts with a gut punch, a heavy, sinking feeling of regret as you sit there staring at the math, realizing you are decades behind. You're looking at your accounts and you just feel completely paralyzed by the weight of missed opportunities. And just a quick heads up before we dive into how to break out of that paralysis, this explainer is purely for educational purposes, so please don't take it as formal financial advice.
I should have started earlier. I wasted so much time. It's probably just too late for me now. Listen, these are the thought loops that relentlessly echo in the minds of anyone getting a late start. And that emotional weight, it can literally stop you dead in your tracks. It creates this incredibly toxic narrative that you've already failed before you've even begun trying. But I want to pause right here and really truly validate that feeling. Because feeling totally sick over lost time is a completely natural human reaction. If you feel like you lost a decade or two, let's get brutally honest for a second about why. Surviving your early years is absolutely no joke. Think back to your 20s and early 30s. You were probably juggling skyrocketing rent, navigating crushing student loan debt, maybe trying to pay for daycare, all while dealing with massive career uncertainty. Not investing back then wasn't because you were irresponsible. Life was just an incredibly expensive, chaotic survival loop. Investing wasn't a priority because just keeping your head above water and paying the basic bills took absolutely everything you had.
Then, life finally settles down just a tiny bit. You actually have a minute to breathe. You start playing around with a compound interest calculator online, and suddenly you discover the absolute magic of index funds and this whole incredible concept of financial independence. And man, that is exactly when the sharp sting of regret hits the absolute hardest. Because now, with devastating clarity, you can see exactly what your earlier dollars could have become if you had just known about all of this back then. But here is exactly where we need to completely rewrite the narrative. Starting late changes the strategy, but it absolutely does not change the possibility. A delayed start is not a financial death sentence. Yes, of course, the math looks entirely different for a 40-year-old than it does for a 22-year-old with zero responsibilities, but the game is still entirely winnable. You just have to stop mourning the cards you folded and start playing the hand you're holding right now. Because the truth is, you actually have what we can call the late starter advantage. As an older investor, your income is likely so much higher than it was in your 20s. You have significantly more career stability, you have much better financial awareness, and honestly, you probably do way less impulsive spending on things that just don't actually matter. These factors matter significantly more than people realize. You are entering this wealth-building phase with a level of maturity and earning power that younger investors simply do not possess yet. Just think about the sheer contrast here. A person investing aggressively in their 40s, pouring a massive percentage of their peak earning dollars into the market, well, that acts like a rocket. They can build wealth so much faster than someone casually tossing a few dollars into an account in their 20s like a slow, wandering turtle. Your income and your intense, focused savings rate become incredibly powerful tools later in life. You finally have the heavy cash flow required to make up for that lost time, provided you deploy it strategically. But we've got to talk about where so many people end up sabotaging themselves. It's the paradox of lost time. This is a deep, dangerous psychological trap. You become so incredibly obsessed with the time you've lost, so fixated on the past 10 or 15 years, that you become totally paralyzed. You stop taking action entirely. And ironically, worrying about lost time is the exact thing that causes you to lose even more time. The regret literally steals your future right out from under you. Let's put this into a really realistic perspective. Imagine two 40-year-olds staring at the exact same financial reality. One feels totally overwhelmed by regret, assumes it's just too late, and delays taking action for another 5 years. The other completely acknowledges the late start, feels the exact same sting of regret, but decides to start aggressively anyway. Fast forward to age 50, and their financial situations look completely different. The successful one didn't start perfectly. They just stopped waiting and started acting. Now, we really have to call out what's fueling a massive amount of this regret. It's the internet comparison trap. We are constantly bombarded with these idealized, glossy stories online. People retiring at 35, 20-somethings becoming millionaires in crypto. These extreme FIRE examples create so much unnecessary discouragement for everyday people. But in reality, most genuine wealth journeys are messier. They're slower. They're far less perfect, but they are still successful. Comparing your real, complicated life to an extreme internet anomaly is a recipe for complete disaster. So if there's one single idea I want you to take away from this, it's this. You cannot control when you started. That time is gone, and no amount of worrying is ever going to bring it back. You can only control what happens next. Once your daily financial behavior changes consistently, progress compounds surprisingly fast. Your higher income, your newly found focus, your fierce determination, these are the engines that are going to drive your wealth from this day forward. So I'll leave you with this question. Will you let a late start destroy your journey to financial independence, or will you stop delaying today? Starting late is never what destroys your financial goals. Continuing to delay because you started late is. Take a deep breath, forgive yourself entirely for those chaotic survival years of the past, and start building your future right now.